Welcome to Pro Kitchen University, an online video tutorial series version 11. This video is part of the Mac Native Interface series for Mac users only. In this video, we will explore all the lighting settings available in the 3D Edge viewer. We will locate the lighting settings control panel and options. We'll learn how to adjust the intensity and color of each light source and understand its effect on the 3D design. And we'll check out the brightness controls to enhance the overall rendering. Pro Kitchen offers you the ability to create beautiful and realistic 3D HD renderings of your completed designs and provide your customers with a stunning representation of their room. Creating the most photorealistic representation within the 3D view relies primarily on lighting, shadows, and reflections. Once you have added your desired lighting fixtures to your design, this video will walk you through how to create the most dynamic room lighting to enhance your final 3D presentation. In order to view the lighting control settings, we will first need to open the 3D Edge viewer. Let's navigate to the top of our Pro Kitchen window to the 3D icon located on that top toolbar. Go ahead and left-click on that icon to launch the 3D Edge viewer. Once the viewer has finished rendering, take a look at the top control panel and left-click the Refine tool. This will enhance the 3D view by adding soft, ambient shadows as well as increase the overall contrast of the image. To adjust your lighting settings for each individual light throughout your design, left-click the Lighting Settings icon near the center of the top control panel. This will open a side panel that contains the lighting controls for every light source within the room. To manipulate any of the light sources, left-click and hold the slider and then move the mouse. These adjustments will take a brief moment to load the new setting within the 3D viewer and provide a clear and immediate visual of the adjusted illumination. These adjustments will refine the lighting and shadows to help create those realistic 3D images and presentations for your customer. First, let's take a look at the disperse light and the room default light, which work in tandem with one another. When these controls are utilized, they will create appropriate shadows and illumination within the room. The room default light is an invisible light source automatically placed centrally above the design. This light is the main source that will cast those hard shadows and is required for correct color reproduction. It is also recommended to keep this one turned on. Disperse light is an overall light of an invisible source that is equally dispersed within the room. Adjusting this will control the intensity of how the light is dispersed throughout the design and will accurately illuminate your room with the correct color and reflections as if it were in real life. If you turn it off, you will create harsh, dark shadows, so it's recommended to leave this light on and adjust the intensity as needed. These two controls are the most important in order to create photorealistic 3D HD views. Adjusting these two items should be the first focus when adjusting the lighting settings. It is important to note that the greater the distance between dispersed light, sitting at a lower intensity, and the room default light, sitting at a higher intensity, the more defined the shadows will appear. If these two light settings are too close to one another in intensity, it will cause the design to appear more dull and flat. On the other hand, if these two settings are too far apart, the shadows will become too sharp and dark. Setting the disperse light at the lower end and the room default light at the higher end will create those softer shadows that will be sure to enhance your design. Once disperse light and room default light have been adjusted to create the most realistic shadows within the room, you can begin adjusting the remaining lights listed. At the top of the side panel, you will see the room lighting option, which will control all the lights within the room. The only option here is to turn them on or off. Switching this option to off will turn off every light source in the 3D view, as you will not be able to see anything within the room. If you did want to create nighttime ambient lighting, you could at this point turn on each of the individual lights to create that atmosphere. The daylight control refers to the automatic sunlight that appears through installed windows or glass doors and will also create the appropriate shadows and reflections for blinds or curtains. Adjusting this option will affect the sunlight cast from windows or doors onto floors and countertops, as well as onto glossy or metallic surfaces. You may adjust this option to decrease the daylight brightness to minimum, which will mimic nighttime, or up to the maximum, which would mimic an extremely bright day, or, of course, anywhere in between. The remaining lights in the side panel represent each individual light fixture installed within the design. These lights are labeled with their individual SKUs and may be turned on or off and allow you to adjust their wattage intensity independently. As before, you will need to left-click and hold the slider bar and drag to the desired brightness level. If you added any molding lighting using the one-click Add All Molding tool, you will see a master control that will allow you to adjust all of these lights at the same time. You can see the master control here for the light rail molding lighting. Once I move the wattage control, it adjusts all of them, making it easy to keep them all at a consistent level. To choose a different color for the bulbs or the fixtures, simply left-click in the box next to the word Color to open a color gradient selector. Left-click and hold the red dot at the bottom of the color panel to slide through the color spectrum. Drag to the desired hue, then left-click within the gradient area above to see the color in the sample preview area. Once the desired color has been selected, left-click anywhere away from the color control panel to apply. If you wish to set all the lighting settings back to their original default, left-click the vertical three dots in the top right-hand corner of the sidebar and select Set Default. In order to close the lighting controls panel completely, left-click the arrow pointing to the left at the top left corner of the side panel. Next to the lighting settings icon on the top control panel, we also have a brightness control that will adjust the brightness of all the lights simultaneously. To access this tool, left-click the brightness control icon, and the brightness control slider will appear on the right side of the 3D viewer. Left-click and hold the slider and move up or down the scale to brighten or darken your entire scene, and just release the mouse for it to adjust the overall brightness. Once the slider has been moved into position again, the viewer will briefly load and display the new lighting setting. To hide this brightness control slider, left-click the brightness icon once more. With Pro Kitchen's 3D lighting settings and controls, you will be able to elevate your design presentations to a whole new level for your customers. They will be amazed at the high quality and photorealistic images of their design. What a great way to help your client envision their beautiful new space. Thank you for visiting Pro Kitchen University. Be sure to visit us at ProKitchenSoftware.com.